Today, on Callout, Penticton SAR does a late-night rope rescue on a steep embankment.
The fire department's located the subject unconscious, 250 plus downslope.
And later, rescue on ice.
Kick with your legs. Kick with your legs. Come on, work with me.
Sunday, 7:51 p.m. Penticton Search and Rescue is called out to do a rope rescue on a seriously injured driver who was thrown from his truck as it crashed down a steep embankment just minutes from town. The fire department is already on site administering first aid to the subject. The Penticton rope team assembles its SAR base and gears up for the rescue. PenSAR is in particular demand for this type of mission, and for good reason.
We have a certified rope rescue team that can respond quickly and with the equipment and the expertise needed to do the job.
Hey, everybody got a radio?
That ability didn't just happen. PenSAR built their team from the ground up, fundraising $75,000 to buy the gear they'll use on this rescue. They have 16 fully certified volunteer members. Still, with the minimum 6 members needed to do a high angle or steep embankment rope rescue, they're operating at a bare minimum. They're volunteers, and people aren't always available. The trucks roll out of the SAR base and head to the accident site.
Okay, there's 5 people in SAR 3 rope team members that are just coming up to the substation.
They radio the team leader, Pat Simpson, who's already on site assessing the situation and formulating a plan.
The fire department's located the subject unconscious, 250 plus downslope.
While it's only a few minutes' drive from the bright lights of downtown Penticton, it's an eternity for the team. Over the bank and into the darkness, a seriously injured person needs their help. Local firefighters are administering first aid to the unconscious subject. They need the rope crew down there now to haul the driver out so they can get him to the hospital. The crew sets to work swiftly and calmly.
It's important that everybody stay focused and calm and do their job professionally. We remind all our team members that it's not our emergency, it's our job. And that way we're able to do it effectively and safely.
Belay ready? Attendant ready?
The team stays sharp, training year-round on their climbing tower, as well as local cliffs and steep embankments during climbing season. The nearby Skaha Bluffs is one of the most popular rock climbing destinations in British Columbia.
The thing about harnesses, if they're comfortable, they're not on right.
We're not out there doing a rope rescue every day, so we have to train in order to keep our skill level up so we can perform our duties as safe as possible and as effective as possible.
Back on site, the team is in high gear. Team leader Pat Simpson has strategically positioned the rescue truck for best angle and needed workspace. The stretcher is being rigged in preparation for hookup to the load and belay lines. Attendants don their gear and get ready for attachment to the stretcher. They set up the rigging to their specially built rope truck.
The fire rescue people were under the impression that they were down about 250 feet. We had a 600-foot rope. It starts out, we do what's called a drop loop, so we double the rope, which means we only have 300 feet of rope.
The team is going to use 3 separate rope systems to do the rescue. A 600-foot load line is run through a pulley on the front of the stretcher and then back up and through another pulley. Then it's attached to a haul rope system of pulleys that create mechanical advantage. A 600-foot belay is hooked onto the stretcher as a backup safety line. It will automatically take the weight if the load line fails. A brake rack on the load line controls the speed at which the stretcher descends down the embankment. PenSAR is using a 3-to-1 system for this rescue, and with 6 people pulling, it's like 18 people with the mechanical advantage. The 3-to-1 system means that for every 3 feet of rope they pull, the stretcher comes up 1 foot. From time to time, the haul line system needs to be reset before hauling can continue. All lines are anchored separately for maximum safety and backup. If an anchor lets go, the stretcher and team could tumble down the steep embankment. With this many ropes in play, everybody has a role. Cindy Smith is the designated safety officer.
I am going to go around and make sure that each station is set up properly and safely.
All the lines are hooked up and ready to go. The team attaches a wheel to the stretcher to support the weight of the load and make the trip smoother.
Okay, delay ready? Ready? Load ready? Load ready. Ready? Ready.
Stretcher attendants Rick McKelvey and Frank Wolfinger steady the rig as the crew lowers them down the steep bank. They will need to rely on radio communications from here on out because of the distance to the subject. Frank and Rick will be in the dark most of the way. The edgeline person is the eyes and ears of the team leader, looking and listening for any sign of trouble or needed assistance. Down below, the attendants are finding the terrain very challenging.
It's a very steep slope. The footing it goes from sandy to sagebrush. There are logs in the way that the stretcher has to be lifted over with the wheel.
They skillfully navigate their way down until the stretcher attendants are nearing the end of their rope and they haven't reached the subject yet.
60, Bob, 60 feet.
Ooh, 60 feet.
They're 60 feet short.
We're going to have to add some rope into the system, which means tying a knot on to the initial rope and passing that knot through the brake rack system.
Ready for down slow?
Attendants ready, down slow.
Down slow. No.
The attendants are slowly lowered down the last few feet to assess the subject. He's lying face down, unconscious on a steep incline. It's a challenge to get him onto the backboard while keeping his spine straight. The team gets him up and package him on the stretcher.
Go ahead for team leader. We have the subject secured in a stretcher on the wheel, and we're waiting for you to raise us up.
The rope team prepares to haul them up.
The team's now preparing the ropes for a changeover from lower to a haul.
You want to try this one?
Yes.
The 6-person team starts hauling, keeping a steady pull on the line, but ready to stop at a moment's notice. The terrain is even harder to overcome on the way up. The stretcher attendants no longer have gravity on their side, and the extra weight of the subject makes for hard work.
Stand by, team leader. We'll have to reposition our wheel.
An ambulance from nearby Summerland is on site. They're cross-covering because Penticton received 3 emergency calls in a short period of time. Every part of the team's rope training is coming into play. Another complication pops up.
We need more oxygen down to the subject, so one of our members is just attaching himself to the line and walking down the hill attached to the line as a safety.
The life-saving oxygen is carried over the edge and down the embankment to where the team struggles to keep the injured subject stable.
Ready to haul? Ready to haul! Hand over hand!
The attendants strain to navigate the stretcher up the steep slope. The crew keeps hauling.
Right up to
The stretcher approaches the top. The haul is nearly done.
your fingers, everybody.
The team removes the wheel from the stretcher before transferring the subject over to paramedics from the BC Ambulance Service.
We managed to get him up. I think we must have done about 5 resets, so it was a good long haul. Long ways for a person to go in a vehicle.
The injured subject has been rescued, but the night doesn't end there for Penticton SAR. They take a quick break before returning down the embankment to recover their gear. It'll be 11:30 before they're done and on their way home to some rest prior to starting their day jobs. That's the nature of volunteer search and rescue.
You do your job, you get your equipment back together, and you have to be ready for when the pager goes off again, which could be in days or weeks, or it could be later that night.
3 days have now passed. A towing crew arrives on site to pull out the truck. In the light of day, we see the distance traveled by the crew that night and the crucial role they served. Unfortunately, despite their efforts, the subject succumbed to his injuries a few days later.
It's hard on the team because they felt good that they were able to get him to help when they did. But having said that, they all know that they gave him the best chance possible.
Which is really all anyone can ask or hope for if they're seriously injured 300 feet down a steep embankment in pitch black darkness. It's all in a night's work for SAR. Now, ice rescue.
Kick with your legs. Kick with your legs. Come on, work with me.
Friday, 2:33 p.m. A fisherman has fallen through the ice. Penticton Search and Rescue have been called out. They have just minutes to spare.
I'll go.
They see the fisherman and rapidly make a plan.
On rope.
The SAR member is tethered and quickly heads out to the subject.
Rick, stay where you are. Come to you.
To lessen the chance of breaking the ice further, he gets flat and crawls to the subject.
Kick with your legs. Kick with your legs. Come on, work with me.
The fisherman is pulled out. The SAR member wraps around him and signals to the team on shore to haul them to safety. Survival depends on how fast they can get a subject out before hypothermia sets in or drowning occurs.
Pull him in.
Penticton SAR are training in ice rescues.
Okay, there you go. Okay, this isn't good. You fall into the drink, you're cold, you get the reflex, water goes in, you do a choke, choke, cough, cough, and all of a sudden you can't move anything. Your epiglottis is seized up on you and it holds for up to a minute. Does this incite calm behavior? No. Heck no. Okay, we're not calm, what do? We panic. We panic because we don't have a path to follow. The most critical thing we need is air and we're not getting it. Our body starts to react to it in an emotional panic state. Okay?
Approximately 24 people fall through the ice and die every year in Canada. Over the next 2 days, these 9 SAR members will learn how to save themselves and others should they fall through the ice. Chris Armstrong, a multifaceted rescue specialist and Nelson SAR member, will guide them through the course.
The idea is to have our tethered person go out to the edge and see if we can't break through. So it is pretty thick, right? I mean, somebody give a pound right there and see if you can break through that little hole and see what the thickness out here is. It looks like probably greater than 6.
Ice thickness is, of course, a critical factor. So is its strength. New ice is usually stronger than old ice. River ice is usually weaker than lake ice. The SAR members are training on a lake today.
What do we know about this ice? We can put a truck on this stuff. Really nice and thick, okay? We can tell we're getting the radiant effect here. We're coming into spring. We've had warm temperatures. There's lots and lots of cracks in here. We've got a melt freeze layer on the top that's been cycling a lot, but we got good solid ice underneath.
The group breaks up the ice to create different rescue scenarios, starting with self-rescue. There are different ways to get onto stable ice if they've fallen in.
Remember, we're simulating here, right, that this ice is rotten and broken up. So when we climb out, we're gonna roll away. If we use the picks to get out, we're gonna drag ourselves along the ice with the picks and get away from that weak ice. Quick, 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 the longer we spend in the water, the more time we're losing, right? One after the other. Okay, get to that edge, get yourself up and roll away. Keep going, keep going, keep going.
Too much fun. I love the water.
Water's okay.
It's actually warmer than what I'm used to, so I'm liking it.
With confidence on the ice and in the water established, they start to learn how to rescue others.
I'm going to be the subject out in the water. We're going to simulate that I'm unable to effect my own rescue, so we're going to have to do what they call a live swim or a live bait swim. So somebody's going to be tethered and monitored by a line tender on shore, and they're going to effectively come and rescue me from the ice jam out here through the broken ice.
Hey, Hamish! Hamish, if you can hear me, swim to me.
The rescuer calls to the subject, aiming to instill calm and get the person to help in the rescue rather than impede.
Come on, this is gonna be tough, you guys. 2 guys on there. We gotta pull them through and over that ice. This is probably the most simple form of going out there, getting somebody and pulling them back. Show them how difficult this form of rescue is, and then we'll start using the tools, boogie boards, rafts, canoes, whatever we got. They really start to see how important these tools are and how they can be utilized to quickly perform the rescue.
That's hard work. You gotta keep thinking about pushing the ice down and watching where you're going at the same time. It's a lot of work even though you're being pulled. My body's warm. My hands are wet. They're a little bit cold. Otherwise, I'm not too bad.
Hey, push that ice away and down. Make a hole. With these rescuers, with these rescue PFDs, we have an extrication leash that actually is tethered to the back of the suit, which is good when you're hanging onto a subject and being pulled backwards to fight your way back, but also the ice is hitting you in the back and you're being pulled backwards. We're trying it, seeing how it feels. These guys are learning practically what works, what doesn't. Gives them the tools in the real world when they're out there doing rescues to know what they should do and what they shouldn't do. Paddle and push. Talk to them. What are you doing? So we're using an OceanAid rescue raft. It's got open ends on it. What they're doing is getting out there, paddling out to the subject, put the front of that boat right up to our subject. They can get up front, pull them right in the boat. They don't have to pull them over the top or anything, but right in the end, give the okay to our rescuers and retrieve them in. It's been a good first day here. Tomorrow's going to be even better.
Day 2. The SAR members learn more about the tools that will help them save lives, including their own.
So what we've done here is we've created a couple of quick improvised mechanical advantages. Sinking a simple ice screw into the edge of the ice or putting webbing around a log or a rock on shore. They get the rescuer out to the subject. When they make contact, they give the okay. They quickly attach a very quick drop loop, a 2-to-1, onto the rope by clipping it in, and then using that to haul with a mechanical advantage to get them just out of the edge of the water, out of the hole, and then they can just hand bomb the subjects to shore. Speed is the essence. By the time an emergency service gets to a scene where someone's fallen through the ice, time has passed. People don't get much time in that kind of temperature to survive. So when we get here, we don't have time to set up a whole bunch of fancy equipment or big mechanical advantage or rope systems. It doesn't happen. We don't want to complicate things. We don't want to prolong it. Very simple, get it done safe. The idea is to use all the tools, improvise from the simplest form to the most complex, and see how it actually works. You want to use the horse collar to do all the work. Now we set them up with what we use as the most appropriate way. It's a cinch rope, where they've hooked up 2 knots into the rope. The rescuer can actually get into the water with a tether attached to the front. And about 6 feet of the line, there's another loop where they can actually swim around the subject in the water, hook them into a bight of rope. The rescuers can pull them to the edge. The rescuer in the water can help pull the subject or push the subject up onto the ice and then pull himself out.
The last exercise of the day reinforces the importance of SAR member safety and the ability to self-rescue. Chris sets up the scenario.
Okay, that's the backup. So in this particular instance, we have a member doing a search, looking for a body, looking for something around the river. They've fallen in and they're being swept under the ice. He's on a lanyard system. In a very safe and controlled environment, we can simulate this to create what's called mental imprinting. The theory is that if someone actually has this happen to them in the future, instead of going into a state of panic, they have a path to follow in their mind. They've done this before, they know what it feels like, they know that they can survive it, and they will do it. That's why we create these situations. When you go under, you're going to stay under this ice, but you're just going to be off to the edge. Okay? How do you feel about that?
Good. Now just tell him to let go of that rope when I'm
Yes, I am. He doesn't owe you money, does he? Okay, you count to 3, hold your breath, and go.
The final self-rescue exercise can be frightening. You can almost feel the adrenaline.
Here he comes.
But learning they can get themselves free in this type of controlled situation may save their lives if it happens for real.
Now, if it happened to you, though, is it totally doable?
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel it?
You wouldn't want to be under there long, though.
No. Good job.
Okay.
We want to make sure that these guys can try these things in a controlled and safe setting, see what effort needs to be given, figure out what works and what doesn't work, so when it comes time to do it for real, they have the tools, they have the training, now they have experience, give them good judgment, they'll go out there and get it done. Out he comes.
A happy wrap-up this time. And with this kind of training, hopefully the same in a real emergency.
Beautiful. Well done.
Callout Search and Rescue features real stories filmed live by search and rescue teams during actual missions. Find out more at calloutsar.tv.